Welcome to another episode of Rich Dad Stockcast, where we are here to help people who are serious about improving their financial education. I'm your host, Denney, and today we have an urgent topic: the retirement catch-up plan, securing your future quickly. As we get started, remember to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Your feedback helps us to bring you more of the content that you want to hear. And don't forget to visit stockcastbonus.com for free access to valuable educational resources to boost your financial education. Now, Rich Ed expert Andy Tanner is joining us today. Andy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, great to be here, Del. Can't wait to get started. This is a life-changing episode. It is. There will be people, we have a broad enough listenership that there's enough people that actually act on what we say that this will have an impact. And the mission, the thing that really attracted me to the Rich Dad organization was the mission, to contribute. Robert has a military background, and I was more of an evangelist in my day, but both of us had missions to spread and to lift and to help. And when you talk about lifting, that's elevation, to take people higher, right? To elevate, people's well-being, to elevate their lives. And this idea of elevation and to lift others is a huge thing. Well, there's a lot of people that are going to need some serious lifting soon. And that's what this episode is really about, is to elevate financial well-being of humanity. And not everyone, you can't force anyone to heaven. But what we'll be talking about here is solution-oriented, and it's simple but hard to do. It's not easy. It's simple. There's a big difference. But it is doable, and that's good news. Do you want something easy? Well, what's easy in life? But if you want something that's doable and actionable, I think we have some great stuff on deck. So I'm stoked. This is going to be fun.
I love that analogy that you said about, lifting people up, elevating. And let's talk about where people are now. Let's talk about the economy, the inflation, the struggles that people are going through. So let's first address the elephant in the room. What are people going through right now?
It's nasty. It's not good, Del. It's not good. Look, one of the reports I subscribe to every year when it comes out is a Vanguard report. So it's based in the United States. And if the people in the most, the largest, most robust economy in the world are struggling, I can't imagine where it is and where stuff is even tougher. Like, go hang out in Ukraine right now, right? Go hang out in the Gaza Strip right now. I mean, it's tough for people. Go hang out in Russia right now even. But I will tell you that I wrote a book called 401 Chaos, and can I give myself a little plug here? I'm so stoked for this. I'm so pumped. It's been 10 years since I wrote that book. And the publishers have said, hey, it's time to do an update on this. A lot has happened. A lot has changed. So I just put the finishing touches. This thing's going to print. I've worked on it forever, of the second edition 10 years later, second edition of 401 Chaos. And so, in doing that, I've revisited a lot of data and gone through a lot of research, a lot of numbers. You don't just crank out a book. You got to do your work. So America Saves. Vanguard, right now, there's probably between 11 and 12 trillion dollars in retirement accounts. But that represents a zillion people. When you break this, that sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Sounds like a lot. Vanguard's got about 2 trillion of it, just under 2 trillion of it by my estimation. You know what the median balance, though, is for a guy staring retirement in the face? Talk about needing to catch up. Even the guys who are 30 and 40 are behind. But the guys that are 50 and 60 are way behind. The median balance is around 80 grand. That's like $300 a month at a 4% rule withdrawal. So these guys are looking at a retirement program, and we're in the midst of inflation. So that $300-400 a month doesn't buy anything. It's going to buy even less as we inflate. I mean, they're screwed. They are freaking screwed. Social Security puts you how far above the poverty line? So what kind of life do you want to live? Survival? Like barely survival, or abundance? Does your plan have one for abundance? So the biggest thing I have with people coming to me is, Andy, I got to catch up. I am behind let's say a guy wants, six figures, $150,000 a year at 5%. What is it? That takes like $3 million to generate that at high bond rates. They got 80,000. They don't have 3 million. They got 80,000. You know how far that is from 3 million? It's a long dang way. It's not even 5% of the way there. So how do you catch up? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So it's a big freaking deal, and we're talking about millions of people right here, and there is a way to do it. There's ways to do it.
I think we were sold a bill of goods from the powers that be out there on retirement, and evidently the masses, just like you said, are struggling. What are some of the myths that you would say that we need to overcome? Maybe some mindset shifts that we need to change when it comes to retirement.
Yeah. The most important chapter, perhaps, in my new book is chapter 8, where I just take a break in the middle of the book and we do some basic financial education before we go into retirement plans. And there's two things that are missing. There are two glaring things that are missing. My sons in the 4th grade they wouldn't have gotten a pension plan, a defined benefit pension, and they wouldn't have gotten a 401k because they're missing too much. They're missing too much. If you look at a financial statement of a defined benefit pension, let me ask this: where's the power of compounding, which is the most powerful force in the universe in that? Where is it? Because the asset column's empty. There's nothing in there. A defined benefit pension has no assets in it. You get a check from it's like being in the rat race without going to work. You still have a ceiling on it. It's defined. I mean, literally, they say, this is how much, this is your ceiling. We'll give you a defined amount. We'll guarantee you that you won't compounding. And people with the word guarantee, and they go, guarantee, I'll run to it. Yeah, a guarantee. You won't have anything to leave your children, and you won't have any compounding in it. We'll guarantee those two things. So you're going to take the most powerful freaking force in the universe, compounding, that explodes wealth, and you're going to discount that, and you're not going to buy into that? That's crazy. The other thing, so you got on one hand the most powerful force in the universe, and now you got the other one, you got leverage, which is you give a lever long enough, you can move the whole world. Lever accelerates, right? Levers accelerate. It helps you do a lot with a little. So if you're behind and all you got is a little and you need to do a lot, where's the leverage in a 401k program? Where is it? Look at the financial statement. In the DB, there's no assets. In the 401k, there's no liability. And there's no utility. This is where I have to disagree with some folks that are like debt-free. Debt-free, are you kidding? You don't want to use a lever in your life? So, so the way to catch up, maybe we can talk about this, in the second half of the show. The way to catch up is to do a lot with a little. And the same as leveraging your mind. Do a lot with a little. Education is a lever. I might have a brilliant mind, a good processor, but when I buy the laptop, it's pretty much empty. It's got some processes in there, but it's only when I start using it that it starts to leverage what's in that thing. And so education levers genius. And you guys are all geniuses. Human beings are geniuses. We've kind of dominated the planet. We do a lot of stupid things too, but you have the ability to learn a financial statement. If you're competent enough to have navigated to this podcast, you can use a computer, you can point and click on stuff, start learning and leverage your mind. Because if you're behind the status quo, hope is not a strategy if you're behind. It's not a strategy if you're behind. Hello? It's not a strategy. And the beautiful thing is there's some real opportunities coming. Number one, my friend and mentor Robert has talked about some of the fundamentals out there, some of the strong glass for a lot of years, and we're just all waiting for a nice pullback here. My opinion is, I think it's getting very close. I think there's a lot of greed in the market. There's not enough fear. That's a signal to me, a temperament, a sediment signal. So there's going to be bargains, and if you can leverage. This is how Robert got rich. In 2008, the market crashes and they levered up at low prices. and they went into debt huge at low prices. And man, it's just amazing. So you can lever in the stock market, you can lever in the real estate market, you can lever in the business market. All three. Starting a business can have leverage. Buying real estate gives you leverage, and the options market provides leverage in stocks. And learning how to accelerate through levers is huge. Now, people say, well, maybe when we come back from break, I don't know where we are, but if we come back, maybe what we can do is talk about specific solutions on that type of stuff. I think what do we got? Our producer, give us a sign here. We got a couple minutes break. Okay, perfect. Let me ramble for a minute. I'm not letting Dell get in it. I'm passionate. I know. I'm not letting Dell get a word in edgewise. Look, when people hear about levers, their limbic system lights up like a bear's chasing and they run for the frickin' hills rather than saying, what? I can do a lot with a little. So let's just explain what leverage is. It's doing a lot with a little. That's before. If I pick up a lever, an inclined plane, an advantaged machine, simple machines, whatever, leverage. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. The world's built on leverage. There's been more money made by using debt and leverage than lost. By far. It's not even close. If you look at all of the leverage out there, most of it has made trillions more than it's lost. And I'll give an analogy here going into the break. Fire. It's fire. That's what it is. It's a tool. Now, fire can burn you. So what do? Never build a fire? Because it's hot, because it can burn. So I'm going to run from every oof. I'm like Frankenstein, run around, fire, run for my life. No. Look, if my son, when you go to military training, part of military training is survival. And one of those things is they call it firecraft in the military. That's the name they use. You learn firecraft. So if you get shot down out of an Air Force plane and you're in the jungle, you've got to know firecraft. If my son is caught in the Rocky Mountains and it's cold, the hypothermia gets him before the wolves will, right? Or before hunger or thirst. It is a life-saving craft. And if I'm in the mountains alone and I'm really needing to do a lot with a little, I've got to kindle a fire. And what I'm doing is I'm not playing with fire. I'm harvesting thermal energy is what I'm doing. I'm taking potential energy and I'm turning into heat energy and I'm saving my life. So if a guy is going to freeze to death in his 401k and they don't have an engine, you don't have a freaking money furnace burning, then learn how to kindle a freaking fire and respect that flame. Learn the firecraft. Well, let's learn leverage craft. If the military can learn firecraft, I can learn leverage craft. I can have rules about fire that keeps me safe. I can have knowledge about fire that keeps me safe. And far more people have been saved by a campfire than burned to death in a forest fire, right? If it's under control and you have the parameters to do it, you're going to be just fine. But if you're staring at a retirement down the road, even if you're 30, realize that if you're 30, you can do both. You can compound and leverage. You can get the double whammy, be rich. If you're 60, your compounding days are numbered. You can still do it, but you're going to have to do some catch up. And the way to do that is with a lever in the options market for stocks, in the debt market for real estate, and you learn leverage craft as akin to firecraft. Doesn't this make sense? I don't know. That's my rant. There, I just went on I haven't had a good rant on the show for a while. That was close to a rant. That was in the ballpark.
That was a good, passionate rant, I would say. I love that.
Yeah, a little bit of a rant there.
All right. Well, let's do this. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, but listeners, don't go anywhere. When we return, Andy's going to reveal some secrets about securing your future quickly. So stay tuned.
My education through stocks, I didn't really have an avenue for it, and it's helped me a lot. The simplicity has really gotten me on the track to where I enjoy the learning as well as it's really solidifying in my mind. And like, they're not just trying to sell you something, they really care about the people that are in the course, and they really do care about you and your personal goals, and what you want to do is to help you and your family and whatever your goals are in life through that. So it's really been great.
Welcome back to this episode of Rich Dad's Stockcast. Again, our topic is the retirement catch-up plan, securing your future quickly. Before we get back to Andy, remember to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Your feedback helps us bring you more of the content that you want to hear. And don't forget to visit stockcastbonus.com for free access to valuable educational resources to boost your financial knowledge. All right, so let's get back to our guest, Andy Tanner. Now, Andy, I think one of the questions that a lot of our listeners are asking themselves inside, intrinsically, they're worrying. You brought up a word, hope, but I think people are asking this, Andy, is there hope for me? I'm 55 years old. I'm 40 years old. I'm 30 years old. Let's just say I'm 55. Is there hope for me with catching up in my financial future?
Gal, I'd say yes. My goodness, there's always hope, right? As long as you have freedom, you have hope. Look, the freedom is an incredible lever. We're so fortunate in my home country. I still get up in the morning and I can make a decision to study anything I want to learn in an information age where there's more information available and misinformation. You got to sort through it. Your discernment of what is good and what is bad is key. But my gosh, yes, there's hope. First of all, look, there's more information than ever before. Better ways to learn that are far better than the college. And, I told my son, you got to go to college. And this is why. Number one, that's where the girls are. So go. That's really important because if you go, you can go shopping around and, we talked about fundamental and value investing. That's a great place to shop. Okay. And find your life partner like I did. I found her in college. Number two, you get to play hoop. And it's really, really fun to play hoop, and you got to go to class to do those things. So great. But the experts you can have access to in this day and age, like I hang out with freaking Ken McElroy and Robert and Tom and Garrett and Josh and Lisa and Blair. How many years did I do that? Right? How many years? Like a 4-year degree? No, like a 14-year degree. So yeah, there's hope because there's people that you can stop looking for deals and start looking for leverage people's knowledge. Leverage them, right? A lot for a little. That's what leverage is. A lot for a little. Well, you got to spend, $200,000 in student loans to get a financial education? No, you get a lot for a little. The second thing is not only is there more education available to you and people that can take you by the hand and help you, but there's also more money in the world than there's ever freaking been. They're printing it out of nothing. It's everywhere. We're swimming in it. Why do we have so much inflation? Because there's so much freaking money to be had, right? Problem is people are on the wrong side of it. They're the buyer instead of the seller. If the price of gas goes up, and I own ExxonMobil, I was kind of bummed the other day because I drive by the pump, gas was coming down a little bit. I'm like, freak, man, why are these gas prices so damn low? But they've raised the dividend 37 years in a row, so I guess I'll still be okay, right? The fact is, there's more access to buy cool stuff, stocks, real estate. There's more information to learn how to do it, and there's more money available than ever before. This is like a prime environment to start a new business, start learning how to lever, start learning stock game, start learning the options game. Absolutely, there's opportunities. But, tough times, drastic times require drastic action, right? Drastic times require drastic action. So let's drill down and do some solution talk here and some solution stuff. Let's look at the levering and compounding. If I want to use the options market, right? It does so much for me if I learn it because it gives me guarantees. So an option, and I'm not going to get into too much of the jargon, Dell, but an option has two players in it. One guy has choices. That's a really good feeling. So there's value in having choices, right? There's value in having choices. Another guy's making promises, but he's getting paid. That's like an insurance company. You can lever either side of that relationship, right? You can lever either one and bring additional cash flow into your life than just a dividend or hoping a stock goes up. You want to be able to force appreciation like Kenny does. He looks at a development or looks at an existing, says, how do I raise the net operating income, through better management? What improvements can we make to force appreciation and force what we call net operating income? Well, in the stocks, we can force that to happen by using the options market because we're adding additional streams of income that accelerate compounding. You got your dividend at 5%, 4%, 3%, whatever it is. That's not going to get it done, but it's a foundation. But if you add 1%, 2%, 3%, 4% of that, you're compounding now. It's a whole different ball game if you bring those levers in. When you look at a company like NVIDIA or companies like Google, or even, Apple keeps getting above 200 share and then it'll cut. But when you understand how options work, you can do a lot with little. You can take control of a company without having to own it. You can control it without having to own it. And there's a finite risk that's smaller in a premium because there's less money out there. You have a defined risk. You have what maximum loss is premium paid. That's what it is. So learn this stuff is what I'm saying. As an education advocate, I don't need to get on my hands and knees and beg people to get smart. That's not our job. I mean, but if someone raises their hand and said, you know what, I'd like to work with you guys. I'd like to learn more about this. I'd like to really get serious about my education and go deeper into this. That's what Stockcast bonus is. It's a bonus. It's extra. It's more. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's a lot more. It's a lot for a little because free is as little as you get. So, when you have an opportunity to do something at no charge, that's a no-brainer where you can do a lot with a little, and that's leverage. Leverage education, leverage information, leverage the real estate market, leverage the stock market. That's your key. That's your best buddy. Leverage, leverage, leverage if you want to catch up.
I agree. The good old Benjamin Franklin quote, an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest or dividends or whatever it might have been, right?
That's what something like that.
Interest or dividends. I don't remember which one, but I just know knowledge is good. Now, going back to knowledge, there's so much knowledge that's out there. There's so much that's on YouTube. There's so much that's, out there. But as you're thinking about, let's say I'm in a position where I'm trying to play catch up. I'm trying to get retirement going. What numbers should I pay attention to, right? We can't know what we don't measure. So what are some numbers? What are some metrics that we should be mindful of as we're playing catch up?
Yeah, once a month or so, sometimes two, whatever I feel like doing. I take people through a full day of what I call a rat race escape plan. That's the name of my thing. You can learn about Stockcast bonus if you want. But what we do is I'll usually start with exactly what you said. Is to catch up, first define where you are, and let's see how big the mountain is to climb. Let's see how far out the finish line really is. And what I have people do to catch up, this is a great exercise to do, is I have a calculator on my website that actually helps people do this. Is you build your financial statement as is now, 6 numbers basically: income, expenses, cash flow, asset, liability, net worth. Net worth is the least important of the 6, but we put it on there. So those 6 are there. And you say, this is where I am right now. Good, bad, or ugly. It's reality. Might feel good, might feel terrible, but it's reality. Then we say, what is your abundant life? Not your survival life, but what's your abundant life look like? And let's build what that financial statement would look like in terms of income, expenses, assets, liabilities. And you start with the expense statement, Del. You start because that's your quality of life. Like people say they want their expenses to go down. What are you talking about? You want first class tickets, not coach. That's more expensive. You want the best restaurants, not the drive-through. That's expensive. You want the designer clothes, not the what do you call it? The Goodwill store. You want to have a quality. You want medicine for your wife and family that's top-notch medical care. So that means setting goals to have more money leave your expense column to bring abundance to your life. That's the trade, right? You spend the money and you bring the abundance. So you look at what that abundance is. Now you got an expense column and you reverse engineer out of that. So we have these 2 financial statements side by side, where we are now and where we want to go, right? And we're gonna make that happen. Then what we decide is we actually get the numbers you need percentage wise to get there. In other words, 2 numbers. What rate of growth of my asset column. How fast do I need to accumulate assets? How quickly does that need to happen? And then the second thing is once I have that pile of cash, we also have a time on there. How fast do you feel you need to do it? We have a time on there, which you can adjust and play with these numbers. And when we're done, we say, okay, I want to retire and be there in 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. Here's where I am. Here's what I got to go. Here's my growth rate I got to achieve. And here's my income rate I got to have. And it's done. Now you have a blueprint A to B. Freaking 401ks don't have that. They sit you down and they take you in this automatic enrollment crap. And they freaking go in there and they say, oh, come work and pay off your paycheck. People do not have an A to B in there. And they don't know how fast it needs to grow. And they don't take control of it and make it happen. So once we have those numbers down and we have that plan written, then we say, okay, what asset class? Is it going to be real estate for you? Is it going to be stocks? What's it going to be for you? And what kind of leverage and what transactions? What do they look like? And people say, well, you can't get a better return. Shoot, Kenny McElroy, that dude has a T-shirt he always wears called Infinite because the guy uses none of his own money. None of it. I mean, think about this. He acts like a poor guy because he never has any money. Why? Because he has the investors' money and the institutional money. And there you go. And you got all the money you need. Between the banks and the private investors, he doesn't need any. So think about that. He's building wealth without any cash because he's 100% levered every time. And is it safe? Well, is fire safe? Depends on whose freaking hands it's in, right? In the right firecraft, guy never gets burned, right? Wrong firecraft will burn his house to the ground. Leverage craft is the same. So the answer is yes. There are resources. There are A to Bs. There are numbers you can, because see what happens, Del, is the moment you take that lifestyle and you put a freaking price tag on it, it ain't a dream no more. It's a dang project. It's no longer a dream and lifestyle dream. It's a project. You put prices and numbers to it. Now it's finite. Now it's workable. Well, if you've got infinite potential of return, you ask my boys, what's the best? People always say, what's a good average return, Andy? If you ask my kids, they'll say infinite return, no risk. That's what they'll say. Infinite return, no risk. That's the high end. So you got a spectrum of a guy like Kenny, infinite return, no risk, all the way down to a freaking bond that pays 3%. Take your pick anywhere in there. It's investing, education that makes the difference. So yeah, you can get a catch-up plan. You can get those numbers solid. We can walk you through them. If you wonder what Stockcast bonus is for, it's to be able to learn how to get into those kinds of opportunities where you can get workable plans and projects where you move the needle in your life. You got a catch-up plan. You're not just hoping something happens. Because I'll tell you, that's a hopeless situation. That's not hopeful. That's hopeless. To think that okay, you've been in this thing for 40 years, the 401ks. So a guy got in at 20. Now it's 40 years old. He's 60. He's 60 now. He started at 20. He's 60. He's been at 40 years. The guy got 80 grand. Half the people have less than 80 grand. Okay, so you're going to hope that things are going to change the next 5 years? No. What you're going to do is take control of that thing, get an A, get a B, get the numbers down, start working on it, choose your asset class, get educated, wake up in the morning and use your freedom to say, all right, I'm going to work on this today. I'm not going to let these 401k people. One last thing about that, and I'll stop the rant because I guess I'm passionate right now because I just finished the book. And so I'm really locked in on helping people catch up, right? I mean, that's 401 chaos. That's what it's about, right? So I'm kind of locked in because I just finished the book. But, a 401k is bait to get you to come to the job. It's bait. And bait looks like food, money, employer match. Well, there's hooks inside of that food. And if you look on the other end of the deal of who's giving you this food and they're holding a fishing pole, then you got to check for a hook. And usually the way the pitch works for the rat race is, hey, we'll give you a salary. Oh, and guess what? Come to us. Come in my fishing boat because we have a 401k match. Can't people see that's freaking bait? That they're holding a fishing pole trying to get you closer to them? I mean, they're literally throwing a lure out there saying you have a salary and you have an employee match. That is a lure to get you to come work for them. They're holding a fishing pole. So if the fish wanted to design a life plan, how smart would a fish be if he chose a fisherman to design his life retirement plan? That makes no sense to me. The fish should see that guy holding that he sees the worm, and that's real food. A food is real worm. But the guy on the other end is holding a pole, trying to get you coming. You swim that way. You swim away from that. Most retirement plans that I have seen that are the best are not designed to get you into the rat race. They are designed to get you out of the rat race. They are escape plans. The ideal retirement plan is an escape from work, not a lure to get you into work. Why would you do a deal with the devil? Why would you do a retirement deal with the very guy that wants you in the rat race? So if you're behind, that's not going to be an accelerant. That's not going to be a catch-up plan. There's no hope in that current plan of acceleration catch-up. It's on you. So that's my rant. I'm just stoked about the book. I think it's, I'm proud of it. I don't do a lot of things in life I'm proud of. I don't have a lot of skills. I don't have a lot of. Ask my wife, man. She'll tell you yesterday, she's looking at me. She's like, you have no skills. But the fact of the matter is, the one thing I can do is I can teach financial education. I know how to make that stuff simple. And so if someone wants to accelerate, that's your key. So hopefully this is motivational today. Because I'm pumped up, man. I'm stoked.
I love it too. I mean, because really people are asking, is there hope for me? And after this podcast, yes, there is. And
darn right there is.
Yeah, I really believe it's.
But there's responsibility too, right? You got to have if you want the hope, you got to have the responsibility to get it going. So there you go.
Now, Andy, I've got to ask, I don't know if this is the time or place, but you're teasing us with a new book. Do we know when it's coming out? Can you hint that
fall.
at all?
No, I can't hit that. It's coming out in the fall. So get ready. We don't have the exact date going, but I mean, we've got the cover done. We've got the layout. I mean, I'm really happy with it. I mean, what's exciting is most people don't think, they think I'm crazy when I wrote the first one. It's like, no one really wants to curl up by the fire and read about 401ks. Let's curl up by the fire, read a book on 401ks. I'm telling you, the stuff that's in here, think about it. I've been doing this now for a long time, and I've had the benefit of some experience. And like, I'm not going to put out my very, 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 very freaking best. And so I'm stoked, man. It's going to be a fun launch. There's so much good stuff in there for people to change their lives, man. And it's a freaking life preserver you're throwing out there is what I feel like. I'm so excited. People are going to get helped by it.
I'm excited for it as well. I can't wait to read it.
It's on point. It's on mission, man. It is on mission. Elevate people. Let's get them out of the water. Let's pull them up in the boat. Elevate them into the rescue boat and the Coast Guard boat. I always tell Robert when we talk, he's a military guy and he loves a great mission. And he's a Marine, man. I mean, that guy will go into Fiducia and they'll clean the place out. He's a Marine. If I were to have any branch of service, I think I would have been the Coast Guard, because I love going into that storm when the guy's capsized, and everyone's drowning. I love coming in on that helicopter and saying, here, take my freaking hand. I'm strong. I'll pull you up into this helicopter, get you out of that freaking fishing boat, get you in a helicopter. Let's go. So I'm a Coast Guard guy,
I love it. And I would agree. I could definitely see you as a Coast Guard guy. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Rich Dad's Stockcast. We hope you found our discussion on the retirement catch-up plan, securing your future quickly, helpful. And a big thank you to Andy Tanner, as always, for sharing his expertise with us. Now, remember, whether you're just starting to save or nearing retirement, the key is to stay informed and educated. And speaking of education, don't forget to visit stockcastbonus.com for free resources that can help you on your financial journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Your feedback helps us to improve and bring you more of what you want to hear. Share this podcast with your friends and your family to help them to make better financial decisions too. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich Dad Stockcast. Until next time, get smart, get invested, and get control of your financial future. I'm Denney. We'll see you on the next episode.
Take care, guys.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.